Hi, welcome back to Tomorrow's America. My name is Richard Donahghue, and I'm here with my co-host, William Donahghue. And wow, there has been so much news. Just to go over a few. Russia drone strikes Ukraine with major blackouts, over 500,000 people affected. Federal immigration officers shoot and wound 2 people in Portland, Oregon. Vance is going to be the next in MAGA. And, this is the biggest one yet. Trump is saying that we're getting Greenland. He said that it's either the easy way or the hard way, which I assume that's diplomatically or not diplomatically. And also, Iran shuts off the internet as protesters start fires and storm the streets. So much has gone on in the beginning of 2026. This is the beginning of, I think, one of the best years we're ever going to have in American history. So, Will, what was your initial thoughts on Trump saying that he's going to take over Greenland, whether you like it or not?
My initial thoughts, I think that obviously we have to be careful no matter what we do when it comes to geopolitics. The main thing is to, preserve America and what we have standing. We don't want to lose anything in the process. Yeah. If we gain something in the process, that's great. You know what I mean? So going after these like Greenland, Venezuela, trying to take positions, new positions in the Western Hemisphere. Like I said before, I'm really excited about. When I did my live stream the other day, solo, I said that the world used to be a unipolar world, and basically that was the U.S. and its allies trying to have the petrodollar run the entire world. So we've gone from a unipolar world to a tripolar world, where Russia, China, and the U.S. are basically fighting for power throughout the world. And, if we don't take the initiative, then we're going to find ourselves being overrun by China and Russia and all that. So we basically have to take a stance with these types of things. I'm pretty excited. I just want us to do it, in a way that we don't have any loss of U.S. lives or boots on the ground or wars and all that. I think that going through the process of making a tripolar world, there's obviously going to need to be some changes in power structures of things. Countries, obviously we overthrew Maduro and stuff like that. So there might be a painful period to get to our goal, and the least pain that we can inflict, the better. But I think that obviously the direction, we're not going to have a unipolar world where the U.S. runs everything like they wanted to with NATO and like it was before. We've seen it crumbling, where China's moving into the Panama Canal and all these things. So, we have to kind of re-strategize, and that's basically what Trump's doing, is restructuring the power and trying to fill power vacuums in places like Panama, Greenland, Venezuela, the Western Hemisphere now.
Yeah. And it seems like from where we're at currently, we are building back to being the one true superpower. And I think we are. But China is so close, and Russia's economy is derailed because of Ukraine. But if they weren't in this war that's lasted since 2022, who knows where they would actually be economically. We took over Venezuela's oil. We said that we are still going to sell it to everyone, east, west, it doesn't matter. We just are controlling it now. And I think that that's really good because we could have a chokehold on the eastern countries' economies. They really rely on that oil. Going back to Greenland and the Monroe Doctrine, or what some people are calling it the Don Roe Doctrine. So Trump obviously wants to do this diplomatically. We want to do it diplomatically. We need to. If we could do it diplomatically, obviously that is ideal, because then on the world stage it looks like we're progressive, we're doing it the right way. But it looks like Denmark isn't really interested in that. Marco Rubio will be meeting with a top-ranking official of Greenland and Denmark. So hopefully that will get something going, get the ball rolling. But Trump said, we're going to do it if you like it or not. Right here in my notes, I have it. Trump mentioned a payment of $10,000 to the citizens of Greenland. Now, obviously, in a domestic viewpoint, people will be like, oh, well, why are they getting $10,000? This is ridiculous. We don't even get our rebates or nothing that he promised, the Doge dividend. Well, you got to look at it like this. So in Buffalo, New York, there's over 300,000 people. 1/6 of that is Greenland. So Greenland's population is 57,000 people. Now, if you think about 57,000 people, that's like half of like a Penn State football game. Okay. That's not a lot of people at all. So when you do the math, if you do a payment of $10,000 to $100,000, I mean, think about that's life-changing money. Also, they'd be switching to the U.S. dollar, which is a stronger currency than what they're currently under. But even if we did $10,000, which, I mean, that's a very, very large sum of money, that's $570 million. And obviously, to the average American, that sounds like, wow, that is a lot of money. But, you know, to the U.S., that's not anything. Even $5.7 billion. If we gave every citizen $100,000, doesn't matter if you're 1 year old or 99, every citizen gets $100,000 US dollars. That's $5.7 billion. On average, we give Israel $5.7 billion per year over the last 5 years. So when you look at that, what's really more important? Giving the Greenlanders $100,000, which is way more than what I expect Trump to do. And that's $5.7 billion. And then we just cut foreign aid spending to Israel, which honestly, that would save us a lot of problems when it means from getting involved in the Middle Eastern conflicts. Stop subsidizing Israel like they're a colony, because they're not. Even Denmark. Denmark gives Greenland $400,000 a year. $400,000 a year. Or sorry, $400 million a year. 400 million is nothing. We would be putting in billions on top of billions into Greenland, not just their infrastructure, but we'd also be helping them with their rare earth minerals. We'd be making them so safe with the military that we would be doing. I mean, the aircrafts that we would have on Greenland's ridiculous. And just having that US, the parentheses USA right underneath that, no one's going to mess with Greenland. Under Denmark's rule, you know, that's very risky. But we have so many clips for you guys. We're going to show you some clips right now. So, Will, what is the clip that we are going to be looking at right now?
Right now, I don't know if you could put me and the clip up on the screen here, because I got my whole computer taken up with the clip. Right now, what we're going to see is this is the leader of Greenland, and she's going to be talking about what she thinks the outcome of a U.S. Takeover of Greenland would be. I'm going to play that for you.
First of all, I believe that we should take the American president seriously when he says that he wants Greenland. But I also want to make it clear that if the USA chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops. That includes our NATO membership and thus the security that has been established since the end of World War II.
Wow. All right.
So she is saying that NATO membership would end, and it would cause, you know, big problems for NATO. And I don't think that Trump's plan is to attack NATO militarily, but as we talk about on this show, NATO is something that, you know, a lot of people in the United States don't want to begin with. So that threat and her trying to hold the U.S. hostage by threatening to, you know, end NATO and all that, that's actually something that I don't view as quite a bad thing. We take NATO, or we take Greenland and we get rid of NATO. I think that's kind of a win-win for the United States. So that empty threat. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this situation has a lot of parallels, oddly enough, with extremist Islamists, which you wouldn't even think about. But yeah, when you look at it, you know, the U.S. is NATO. Before Trump got into office, most of the countries were putting in less than 2%, and Trump just got them to 2%. Now that Trump's in office, they were all intimidated off of the original Greenland threats. Now Trump has them all at 5%, except for Spain. Spain, we're looking out for you, buddy. Don't worry. You know, you're right next to Gibraltar. You're good, but yeah, you better start spending your military money because, dude, they spend no money on military. They're under 1% right now. But yeah, now they're all up to 5%. They're like, oh, well, USA, let us catch up. No, there is no catching up. China, Russia, they have ships. They're already meddling in, especially China with their Belt and Road Initiative. They're trying to get Greenland into debt with China. They're trying to get airports. They're trying to fund airports on Greenland. They tried to buy a military base on Greenland. This is not okay. We cannot let China get into the North Atlantic, especially into the Arctic. They view themselves as an Arctic power somehow, some way, when they have no Arctic control at all. Why are we going to let China or Russia get involved right in the middle of NATO when, well, first of all, NATO shouldn't even be a thing anymore. This is a World War II alliance. But why are we going to let one of our biggest allies or biggest enemies get in between the two allies? You know, here's North America and then here's Europe. We're going to let them right in the middle so we can't access each other. They can shut down the North Atlantic airports whenever they want. That's not okay. We're not going to let that happen. This is the Monroe Doctrine. This is our sphere of influence. They're on the North Atlantic tectonic plate, all of this stuff. And then people want to say that there's no reason. It's only for minerals. It's not just for minerals. The U.S. has so many minerals, not to mention that right now China has a chokehold on the refinery of minerals, and we can't do anything about it because in the states of the United States of America, we have regulations. But if we can refine minerals on Greenland, that doesn't just help the United States, but it helps all of the West. So there's so many different reasons that we should be acquiring Greenland. And we want to do it diplomatically. If you want to say that Trump wants to go in militarily and do a military exercise, there's 57,000 people and they don't have a military. There's no exercise to be done. We'd be landing troops on Greenland and it would be over. You know, we don't want to do that. We could have done that last year. We want to do it diplomatically. We're giving them all the time to say, yes, we will do it diplomatically. But if they don't want to do it diplomatically, then we're going to have an issue. You know, we're going to do it like it or not. And with this clip right here, this is Trump talking about, let me pull it up. This is Trump. Can you see it, Will?
The clip.
Oh, I'm pulling it up right now.
There you go.
Let's remove that and pull this. This is Trump talking about Greenland, okay? So Greenland, as we said, is one of the most important land masses. And, you know, it's just a quick 24-second clip.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor, okay? I would like to make a deal, you know, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. Right now,
You know what's funny is that that clip that I played in the beginning of Mette Ferguson, the leader of Denmark, basically they talk about Russia being a problem as far as Greenland goes. Russia tried to join NATO and Europe stopped them from being able to join NATO. That would have been the entire North Atlantic Treaty Alliance. That's what NATO stands for. We would have had Russia, Greenland, Europe, and the United States all on the North Atlantic. But Europe wanted to cause problems with that alliance and not allow Russia in, despite the fact that NATO was only created to stop the USSR. And the USSR has been split up and given up all of its Slavic states like 40 years ago. So there's really no reason why, one, Europe shouldn't have let Russia into NATO. And now the biggest problem with NATO is Europe anyway. So I think that Trump, you know, is just asserting U.S. power and going to do what he wants to do because it has to be done. Like I said, we're becoming a tripolar world. mostly because of NATO's expansion and just relentless nature, the way that they expanded into Ukraine and caused this whole conflict, So we need to just take whatever Europe tries to tell us or whatever opinion they have and crinkle it up and throw it in the garbage and do what we want, because they're driving us. They're driving a wedge between us and our Eastern enemies, and they're our enemies now because of NATO. They're driving a wedge between us and our Eastern enemies, and they're driving our Eastern enemies, Russia and China, closer together. So Europe's opinion, that'd be like listening to a high school dropout give you life advice. Not very smart.
Well, and also when Russia asked multiple times to get into NATO, I don't understand what the reasoning is. So this is exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the U.S. not needing NATO. So if they, like the clip that we'll put up, if they want to say that the U.S. will be kicked out of NATO if we take Greenland, well, so be it. We don't need NATO. NATO needs us. Without us, Russia could have a field day on NATO. NATO is just the EU. And I'm not saying they would do that, but I'm saying there's a lot more likelihood that Russia attacks Europe if the US aren't in NATO. You need us. So why don't you pander to us and listen to what we have to say? It doesn't make sense to me. And also, if you want to say that the US this will be the end of NATO if the US takes over Greenland, well, why don't you say Russia is kicked out of NATO if Russia attacks a NATO member? It makes sense. But this is just the left viewpoint ideology that they have to demonize people. And I almost think that the left with Russia is just as bad as the neocons. Like, they're so anti-Russia. Like, Russia hasn't really done anything to us since the 90s. Like the Soviet Union disbanded in 91.
Go to the clip that I have pulled up.
All right.
Okay, this is NATO expansion versus Russia becoming smaller.
Yeah.
Here's the beginning of NATO. And NATO was supposed to stay this size forever, but they expand into Turkey. They expand into Baltic states.
They told us to stop. They said stop at Western Germany. They said don't have any countries on our border.
So this is 1966, 67. See the timeline climbing?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So NATO is expanding the whole time and breaking the treaty that we had with Russia to end the divide in Germany. Now, Russia just gave up a lot of territory, and look at NATO expanding right up to Russia's border.
Wow.
So, I mean, what choice does Russia have now that there's a giant alliance right on their front doorstep?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. Now look at Ukraine getting closer to NATO, and that's Russia's birthplace. That is where they were born. So obviously they're going to have issues with this. Then 2014 right here, they steal the Ukrainian election to make them a Western government. This is where it really picks up. Now in 2022, Biden talks about Ukraine being a great NATO adding them to NATO would be great. That would be very helpful. Well, I really don't believe in that. And I don't think anyone should, because if you believe Ukraine should join NATO, then you're basically asking for World War III.
Yeah. Not all right. It's not a hard thing to grasp, but they want to sell you a lie that, this is all Russia's fault because Russia has an imperialist mindset and all they want to do is expand. We just saw in that video that they gave up all their Slavic territory to appease NATO, and then 2 seconds later in the video, the whole thing is blue because NATO swept right in and took all the territory.
Yeah. And we honestly shouldn't be surprised, because when you look at the people in power back then, and I honestly blame this on the boomer generation, just for everything that they got fed to them and they believed it all. The people in power that we had were neocons. They were horrendous since Jimmy Carter. Honestly, like that, the presidents we've had until like Trump and even Trump is like, we have our fair criticisms about Trump. Like, we have not had the best of leaders. Obama, for him, number one, to decline NATO allowing Russia to join is ridiculous. That's first and foremost. Secondly, when he left power, he was telling Trump the number one threat to the USA is North Korea. And then look at what Trump did. He was the first president on North Korean soil. Like it's not hard to do. We need to stop weaponizing against our enemies. Look at what Trump said the other day. He said, yeah, Russia, China, we have great relationships with Russia and China. Xi Jinping was saying that China needs the USA and the USA needs China. We need to work together. That's exactly right. They need us. $500 billion a year, because we are the largest influx of Chinese goods, because we have the biggest economy. Now, you look at what the USA needs. We need China for their cheap production. Well, why do we need that? Because we deindustrialized because of this hoax talking about global warming. The West is 7% of carbon emissions. That means that the East is 93%, and now we are reliant on the East. We need to stop doing all that. We need to stop believing into the science. I mean, like, there is scientific evidence that we obviously need to use, and it's true. But then there's fake Democratic hoax like the climate change crisis that they said in 1980, in 10 years that the polar ice caps would be completely melted. And now look at it, now look at where we're at today,
So even a lot of people have fallen for this hoax. So starting way back, they've taken cores out of the ice in the Arctic and in the North Pole and all that. They've taken cores out of the ice. And at times, thousands of years ago, there was way more carbon dioxide on Earth than there is now. And then fast forward to the 60s and 70s, they were actually saying that the Earth was going to have another ice age if we didn't, handle the climate crisis. Then they called it global warming, but then the Earth didn't really warm up. So they had to change it again, and they had to call it climate change. And now basically any time that there's a snowstorm, a hot day out, too much rain, a tornado, a hurricane, all things that happen all the time, they just say, oh my God, this is caused by climate change, so that they could stir up fear and sell people on this lie. But if you look at one volcanic explosion, one volcanic eruption puts out more toxic chemicals into the atmosphere than all of industrial civilization combined. And there's volcanic explosions every so often or whatever. But one volcanic explosion does more carbon output than all of humanity's entire history. So, to just give up all of our industry in the United States for the climate is not something that's like an actual serious thing. What that is virtue signaling, a way to create more government, a way to have Europe in the G7 impose global climate taxes and all these things. It's basically a way to oppress people and steal your money. And that's the hoax of the whole thing. I mean, would it be a good idea to take all the scrubbers off of our factories and blow tons of smoke in the air? No, because obviously, like in Pittsburgh in the early 1900s, there was huge smog clouds and everyone came home covered in black dust. You couldn't even go outside. So that's why, see, in China does most of the manufacturing in the world, but they have super high cancer rates and super high miscarriage rates and birth defects and all these different things because they don't regulate their industry. In the United States, we have scrubbers on our smokestacks. We have regulations. It's so strict, if your muffler is leaking in your car, New York State won't pass you on an inspection. So in the United States, we have regulations, and China doesn't. They have, like, 7-year-olds sticking their hands in machines, all the stuff that you read about of the United States in the 30s and 40s, why we created labor unions and regulations and all that. They still do that there. So if you're a humanitarian and you care about people at all, it would be wise to put the United States back in charge of industrialization or industry, manufacturing, all those types of things. Mm-hmm. But that's the big lie about climate change. Obviously, there's other big lies like solar and wind powered energy are the next thing that we need to phase into. Sometimes wind doesn't blow. Sometimes there's clouds in the sky. So what happens then? The whole power grid shuts down because we had a cloudy day out. We need fossil fuels. And the other thing is that the term fossil fuels, this is a theory, obviously, but they say that fossil fuels are a non-renewable resource. Well, there's a alternative theory to that they call it aeolic fluids, that oil just leaks out of the center of the earth and keeps refilling the oil deposits. And it's not proven one way or another. But what we do see is in Pennsylvania, between the shale layers, when one shale layer empties, you come back in 5-10 years and it's full of oil again. So, there's a lot to think about when it comes to the truth about fossil fuels or just oil and gas and the climate and, what they're trying to sell us when it comes to things.
Welcome, Benjamin. Actually, this is our first live viewer. Hello, Benjamin. We appreciate you for being in the stream. And also, my dog's freaking out because there's dogs barking, but we will continue. Yeah, and honestly, we need to call on the Democratic Party to stop with all of these hoax, stop with these 90-10 issues, stop with these 70-30 issues, and they need to be for the American people just like everyone else. Now, I understand, and I'm writing a paper on it now about states' rights and federal rights and how the state should have more rights than the federal government. But it needs to be also from the Democratic Party. I get you're pandering to your voters, but you cannot do this. You cannot continue to do this. Like, if we had the Democratic Party that was as strong as it was when we had FDR, JFK, that Democratic Party is a party that I would consider voting for. That is a party that I would consider. But when you have the current Democratic Party, where they're so lost, of what the actual American people want. There's the American people, and then there's people that live in America. The American people are the people that stand with America, are America first. I mean, there's so many different things that I could think of. For example, abortion. Now, there's a difference between pro-life and anti-abortion, right? So anti-abortion means that you don't believe in abortion at all, and pro-life means that you don't believe in the death penalty either. So there's two separate things. So abortion has caused 25% of my own generation to be gone, to die because of abortion, because of my body, my choice. Now think about where we would be at if we didn't have abortion. 25% of Generation Z is gone because of this. And this is a new thing. Like Roe v. Wade, obviously that caused a huge stir up, but we can't allow these people to stay corrupt in the Democratic Party. And I'm not saying the Republican Party is any better, but that's why we need the Democratic Party to come with us, because then it has checks and balances. If both parties are for the American people and not people living in America, they're for the American people, then both parties will be wary and complimenting each other like it was pre-2016 debates. And they are common goals. They are going for the same goal. But now, I mean, we are so lost where the Republican Party is quote unquote common sense, yet they're still just as bad, bought out by Israel, bought out by PACs. But then the Democratic Party is just so lost, then you have to vote Republican. Like, that's where I'm at.
Going back to what you said about abortion and the Democratic Party, the whole abortion movement was created by a woman named Margaret Sanger, and she was an extreme white supremacist. So, you know, the left wing likes to talk about white supremacy, and if white supremacy was what they say it is, I would be super against it, but it's clearly not. So the left pushes abortion and women's rights and all this stuff. There's certain medical scenarios where, you know, I think that the debate could be had.
Yeah.
But as far as the left's position on abortion, so all of the abortion movement was created by Margaret Sanger, an avowed white supremacist, and specifically her goal, which was achieved, was that 80% of abortion clinics are in low-income areas, which happen to be mostly, you know, the African-American community. And they kill, I forget, but here's the thing. If Black America wants to have a foothold in American politics, they need to be more than 13% of the population. Now, the left is selling them on this abortion thing, and they're killing off, I think it's something like 50,000 African-American babies a year.
Ridiculous.
Just that alone, you know, once you learn that, you, as an African-American, I think I would be appalled with the left-wing party and what they try and do. The whole history of it is ridiculous. The left, you know, promotes this culture that's prevalent where there's no fathers in the home, the welfare state. If you are a low-income person and you want to receive benefits from the government, like welfare and things like that, you can't actually have a man in the house. You need to be a single mother to receive the maximum amount of benefits. And that is driving the culture of low-income areas to be the way that they are. And, you know, they're creating the problems that then they turn around and tell you that they're going to solve. And it's a way to perpetually continue to get voters. And then, you know, they do other things like promise you free college, and then you vote for them, and then they never deliver on it. They can't. Joe Biden tried to, and it was ruled to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. So, you know, the right is the common sense party. And Rich, where were you going with this? Into the Minnesota situation? So
well, there's just so many different things that I was planning on going into this. It's just more of like it's a thing where, like, I need as an American citizen, America to focus on geopolitics and domestic issues in a 50-50 split, where we really have gone away from that, where we've gone, like, honestly 80-20 to geopolitics and favored. Like, it's a problem, and I'm all for geopolitics. I love geopolitics. I think that it's very important that the U.S. government is involved in the world. We are the police. Like, the West is the police, but you can't ignore the American citizens. And what you said about free college, that is a statewide issue. Another reason why state governments need to have more power when it comes to laws than the federal. You go to a place like Tennessee, where if you live in Tennessee and you go to a Tennessee college, it's free. Like, there are places like that. Just like, I think that legalization of marijuana, it should be a statewide issue, just like it is. I think abortion should be a statewide issue. If you want to go to California and New York and have an abortion, then you have every right to. But if you're living in a state like, for example, Ohio or Texas or Florida, and they're banned, then, you know, you can't have an abortion. Like that, and people don't realize the states.
You froze up. But on the sorry, you froze up. But on the states' rights issues, now each state is an individual state, and we've all signed on to be the United States of America.
Yep.
So it's very important that states have the rights, but at the same time, we're one country. And, this is where the balance of power has to be, where there's, shared powers, there's state powers, and then there's federal powers. So in Minnesota, Tim Walz wants to call the National Guard up to fight the federal government on issues like illegal immigration. That illegal immigration, patrolling borders, things like that, those are powers that we gave to the federal government to protect all 50 states. So if one state wants to allow our country to be invaded, you can't do that because it affects the other states. And Tim Walz, wants to have this almost Civil War type rhetoric. And now we're seeing California get involved. J.D. Pritzker, Nancy Pelosi, Tim Walz, the usual suspects are really stirring up a lot of trouble in the United States. And it's because of things. I want to play this clip, and I kind of am gonna, I don't know if you want to go into Minnesota right just yet, but
they're the most corrupt government out of all of the United States. I mean, all 50 states are the size of European countries, yet now they're saying that abortion will be able to be had up until birth. You can have an abortion up until birth. If you're doing a week, you can have an abortion in Minnesota. I don't get this facade of wanting to be able to kill your baby in the third trimester, let alone in the second or first. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
So yeah, that's a huge issue. That's actually disgusting. I mean, the conversation could be had, but if anything, right when you find out, you should make that decision. There's a beating heart in there. This is a human life that we're talking about, and for the left to be able to so easily take a human life or call it a clump of cells, part of the problem is if you can't figure out whether you're a man or a woman, then you really don't understand basic things. And then you can be brainwashed to believe anything. And then, you listen to these people who tell you could choose whether you want to be a man or a woman. The same people will tell you that a child is just a clump of cells. And then you want to kill it a week before it's supposed to be born. That's pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
now,
and I'm sorry to cut you off, but the child has a heartbeat after 6 weeks. Like it's not like they're a clump of cells. It has a heartbeat after 6 weeks after conception. So how are you gonna say that it's just a clump of cells?
I'm a clump of cells.
So am I.
Yeah,
we all. Are.
This computer mouse is a clump of cells.
Dude.
So going to this clip now to kind of go into Minnesota. We're talking about the left and how they're deceptive and how they like to lie to people. This clip is basically a left-wing journalist. These journalists try and say that they're not biased or whatever. But this is a left-wing journalist asking J.D. Vance a super dumb question about the shooting that took place, and he just annihilates them. So here is the clip. Oops. Sorry. I didn't have the volume on. Can you hear it?
It's not running right now.
I apologize.
Basically, a summarized version of what you're about to see is J.D. Vance completely goes off on the left-wing media. And he has been, and they kept him away from the ICE shooting in Minnesota, and they've really sheltered him until this point. Now he's back and doing media interviews, and he has his narrative that he is pushing, because they are, and I have it in my notes. he is MAGA's successor. He is going to be the Republican ticket of 2028. I believe it's going to be Vance Rubio. How I feel about that, obviously, we have to get closer to, but obviously this guy was mentored by Peter Thiel. What he says, I love. I love what he says and what he speaks. It's what his background is and what he has stood for and how he has been a chameleon that I don't like and that I don't approve of. And it actually reminds me of any other politician that we've had.
I think we got it now.
What'd you say?
I think we got it now if you want to go back to it.
Yep. I am going now. Oh, wait. Is this it?
Yep.
It's just gotta you just gotta screen mirror it and then we're all good. It's currently not screen mirrored, but yeah, JD Vance, I mean, he's a very polarizing figure. It's really confusing. At least from my point of view, there's so many different ways to view this guy. He's changed his name like 5 times. Obviously mentored by Peter Thiel. The clip's still not up yet. I don't know if I don't know if you have to like restart the screen mirror, but it's not screen mirrored. This guy goes off, and I love what he says too. Like everything he says, he absolutely completely derails what the liberal media is going to say. Nothing yet. I don't see a screen mirror. I have my screen mirrored as well. If you want to figure out what it is, and we could circle back, we could just hit what I was gonna have.
Okay, so I just lost control of the stream here, but yeah, we could get back to it. Basically, they ask him a dumb question about the shooting, and he just goes scorched earth on the media for the deceptive way that they basically, try and ask him this question. Hopefully I can get it up here. I think that it's an important clip.
Oh yeah. And while we wait, I have this pulled up. I'm just going to talk about this really quick. I'm going to actually full screen this just because this is a really important thing while you pull it up. Right here, breaking. The UAE announces it will cut funds for citizens who want to study in the UK out of fear for these students being radicalized by Muslim Brotherhood Islamists on British campuses. Now, and it summarizes this underneath as an Arab state now views a European state as a dangerous Islamic radicalization hotspot. So basically what it's saying, and let me get out of this for a second. Basically what that's saying is the UK is very radicalized and it's a hotspot for the Muslim group of terrorists and extremists of the religion Muslims or Islam. Sorry, it's saying that the UK is in. I'm just gonna full screen this and hit this for a minute, and then we'll go right back to it. The UK is a hotspot for Islamic extremists. Now that's saying that from an Arab state. They are in the Gulf. They are literally like it's their religion. It's their religion that they believe in, and they're saying that we have the extremists and it's a hotspot. This is what's happening in Western nations, and it's considered and hear it when I say it. It's being considered as white genocide when it comes to the people that are having low birth rates and they're mass migrating and they're honestly turning it into Muslim states. And you look at what UK's had, where their mass immigration, the local people are waving their flags and they are standing against it because the immigration policy that the West has picked up over the last, couple of decades has been ridiculous. We're taking in all these third world countries and immigrants, and you can label them as refugees if you choose to, from Somalia and from places like Afghanistan. But these are radicalized Muslim extremists. This is not the bulk of Islam. This is not the bulk of Muslims. This is a small group of extremists that are coming to our country, and they are here for takeover, like the Quran says. They're here to take over, and they are here to to push Islam on everyone, because in the Quran it says there is no religion other than Islam. Islam is the only religion. There's so many different verses of the Quran that say this. They say that you can strike your woman. They say that you can have up to 4 wives. Like this is a very extreme version of Islam, and this gives Muslims a super bad look. Like, I love Muslims. I have many Muslim friends, but the Islamic extremists is the problem. It's not the bulk of Muslims. It's the Islamic extremists. And it's the same with all groups. These extremist groups are the problem.
And a lot of that has to do with our previous domestic policy. So in the Middle East, like Iran and those countries, they call us Big Satan and Israel Little Satan. And the reason why is because for 50 years, we've went over there and destabilized these people, bombed countries on behalf of Israel. And then what you do is you put in a terrorist leader. We fund a terrorist group. They end up destabilizing, causing color revolutions, which is what we're seeing happen in Iran right now. Mm-hmm. Then there's a foreign leader that takes over, or a terroristic leader that takes over and oppresses people. And they know over there that it's all caused by the U.S. Because of our CIA, going over there and stirring up within their politics. And then we turn around after we cause all these issues and we gather up all the people and bring them over here, ship them over here, and give them, free healthcare and all these things. We prop them up. We actually, what is even another step of what's going on is that we actually bring them all in and put them in one voting district so that they could basically unanimously just appoint one of their people to be a sitting congressman in the United States, or the mayor of
Omar. Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz are perfect examples, like the fraud of Minnesota. And this is exactly why what Will's pulling up is so important. The state and honestly, just the whole region is under attack of Somali fraud, which we've already talked about. Will had a huge, great deep dive that if you haven't checked out episode 3, you need to check it out. They're like literally committing fraud, and they are just destroying us politically. Ilhan Omar, Trump said he talked to the leader of Somalia, and the leader of Somalia didn't want Ilhan Omar back. He said, no, we don't want her. Why? Like, it's ridiculous. This stuff that we're dealing with as American citizens is disgusting. And it's the problem that we don't realize. We think it's right versus left. Love my right people, love my leftist people. It doesn't matter. I got family on both sides. Yet it's the government. It's the government's policies that is the problem. The government is the problem. And I'm not an anarchist. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a government or we need to have mass change. It's just the policies. We need to have better policy. And we need to stop voting in people who are clearly bought out by PACs and special interests. Like, for example, Byron Donaldson in the state of Florida going for governor. Then you got a guy like James Fishback, who is an absolute stud. Love James Fishback, takes zero PAC money. He vowed to the Florida citizens he will not make a single stock trade or anything. Well, if they vote him in as the governor of Florida, I love that guy. And if we can see James Fishback win in Florida against Byron Donaldson, who's the Trump-endorsed candidate who's taken $121,000 from AIPAC, I think it can happen all over, and you're going to see a lot more James Fishbacks popping up all over the country. Yeah, I mean, it's the leftist propaganda, and obviously, like I say it all the time, it's not just the left or the right, it's both, and it's the government. What are we thinking about this?
Just play this clip real quick, because this is, I believe it's Nick Sortor. He's been, after Nick Shirley went in and exposed all the daycare fraud, then Nick Sortor, he's another big X personality. A good follow on X is both of those guys, Nick Sortor and Nick Shirley.
Okay.
This is just a quick clip. so Nick Sortor went into a Somali daycare center. It's a bad clip, but it's all I got. Basically, the Somali guy came out and he said, the U.S. is going to be an Islamic state, all, passionate. This is what these people believed when they are coming over here. So I don't know if you want to pull this up real quick.
Yeah, we just make sure that it's screen mirrored. It's not popped up.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's what they want. They want us to be an Islamic state because that's what their religion, in the Quran at least, there's moderate Muslims and extremist Muslims. In the Quran, it says divide and conquer and take over. Now we can't allow that as a U.S. citizen because we're the free world. If you want to come to the United States and practice Islam and you want to be a good citizen, now I'll tell you right now, I'm all for it. I think everyone should be able to come legally to the United States. But if you're going to come and try to divide and conquer and take over the United States and make us a Muslim country when we are founded on Christianity, we are founded, and I'm pulling it off the wall. Give me this. We are founded on Christianity. We are founded on these values, and you have the right to say whatever you want and to practice whatever religion you want. If you want to practice Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, or even another one under the sun, you have the right to. But that's because of these Christian values. You have the Christian values. This is a Christian nation.
Free will given to you by God. Our rights are given to us by God. All right, here's the clip.
France coming to America.
Islam's coming to America?
Yes, it's coming.
Wait, is this going to be
one day America will become a Muslim state, a Muslim country.
Really?
Tell Trump. Yes, it will happen. God is powerful. God is powerful.
Is that what everybody here wants?
That's one thing that.
So obviously, that's just one guy. But they inside of the place they have anti-ICE posters. This is in Minnesota where the fraud's happening. And I'm going to go to the other clip of J.D. Vance in a second because this all ties in. This is all a big problem that be an issue. He's oversaw the fraud. The state of Minnesota did audits of the fraud. And they found that there was missing documentation. So Tim Walz's government actually went in and wrote dates as if the documents were from way back, and they filed the paperwork in the audit process. They filed false paperwork to try and cover up the tracks for this stuff. And then, so these might be two separate issues, but they're not really two separate issues. The anti-ICE protests, the Somali fraud, all this has taken place in the United States because Tim Walz wants to pander to foreign people. And a lot of Somalians were born in the United States that are in Minnesota. That's just because of the length of time. Because of the length of time that we've been allowing this to go on. But they're clearly not loyal to America. They clearly want Sharia law or all these other things. And we'll just go to that clip real quick because I think it's important.
Yeah. And as I said, it's your birthright if you're born in the United States. It's your birthright to, bear the fruits of the United States labor. But if you're not born here, then it's not your birthright, so don't act like it. You have the right to be deported. And if you want to assimilate, then we will accept you with open arms.
And then one of the main driving problems is the way that the media spins these issues and tries to cover up for it. So here's a clip of the media spinning and lying about the issue, and then J.D. Vance just roasting them and making the truth, telling the truth.
Yep.
You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life. And that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers.
100%.
Sorry, guys. What's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
Okay, you could take it down. I know you want to get into JD Vance, but I have a little comment on what he just said.
Yeah.
So the question that was asked was stupid to begin with. Okay, the left has given these people the idea that illegal immigrants are Americans too, and guess what? I have a New York State. I'm not going to pull it out. I have a New York State ID in my back pocket. I'm a U.S. citizen. Yeah. I pay taxes. The tax money, the programs, the subsidies, the incentives, they should all go to U.S. citizens. So the left has created this idea that foreign people can just come here and we'll pay for whatever they want. Then they, lie, compounding lies on top of each other. That woman who was brainwashed by the media to go and hit a police officer with her car is justified in some way. And that the tyranny, they want to spin it, that the tyranny is coming from the government trying to round up and kidnap people. They're actually striking fear into the heart of African Americans who have for generations been in this country 150, 200, 300, 400 years. And that's just not true. What they're trying to do is drum up some kind of an alliance between, people of color, illegal immigrants, gay people, and spin it and make two sides. But the real tyranny is coming from the activist judges who won't prosecute these people. And, like we saw with the George Floyd protest, they go and burn down an entire city, and then they get zip tied for 30 minutes by a police officer. They get their hands zip tied behind their back. And then the government of Minnesota is going to write them a check for $30,000 like they're the victim when they're victimizing American people in the United States. It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, for sure. And then they'll label it as white supremacy. I heard Ilhan Omar say that the issue of Somali fraud is due to white supremacy. Like, there is white supremacy in a sense. Obviously, all these words are real. They are real words. But when you weaponize them and demonize people over false claims, your actual claims don't matter and they won't be taken seriously. Like, we need to stop with all of this fake demonizing of people. You're demonizing people and making and weaponizing words against people where, people are being called Hitler. They're being called Nazis. Like, there's so many different words and things, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, all of these words that, since 2020 is the time that I think about where if you were labeled as this, your career's over, you're done, you're out of Hollywood, you're anti-Semitic, all of this stuff. And that's the biggest one right now, anti-Semitic. That's the one thing left that they have that they can still call you that is bad. That's really, really bad. If you get called racist nowadays, that's not even that big of a deal in a sense that, like, you're going to stress about it. You could get your job taken away. They'll call your job. Like, anti-Semitic, though, that's something that's still very, very weaponized, and something that you should look at.
Especially white
Now,
families.
now that we're looking back and looking at J.D. Vance and what J.D. Vance said, yeah, you know, everything he said, I 100% agree with. I love exactly what he's saying and his standpoint on it. I really don't know how to feel about this guy. He says the right stuff. He says we're taking America back for the people. He says all of this stuff. He says he's a Christian, and everything like under the sun that he said that I support, and everything he says, he knows how to say it. He knows how to say and how to get people behind him. Yet his wife's a Hindu, and then he wants to say that he is and I'm not dissing on his wife, but he wants to say that he feels bad taking her to church, and he feels bad taking his kids to church. Well, no Christian male who's supposed to lead a family can say that. You can't say that you feel bad taking your wife to church. If anything, he should be trying to get his wife to see his viewpoint and accept our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, that's what I view, and that's how I feel about it. I mean,
what the Bible says.
Yeah,
the Bible literally tells you to go out and evangelize and spread the truth and all this stuff. I'm not too keen on what Hinduism really stands for, but you know, I don't know.
It's not a monotheistic religion. It's not an Abrahamic religion. And that's where it is in the modern era, in the modern day. If you're a Hindu or a Buddhist in 2026, I mean, like, obviously it's the freedom for you to believe in whatever you want to believe in. But I mean, it's really the age of monotheism, and obviously Christ is king. But if you're not even a Jew or a Muslim, and you don't believe in Islam or Judaism or Christianity, then I almost like, at least in my viewpoint, it's hard for me to understand where you're coming from. Like these obviously are the big three. They like to call it the big three, where Christ is king. Obviously, Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. But I don't understand how a godly Christian like J.D. Vance claims to be. And I'm not here to question his faith, but you don't believe that you should take your wife to church, your kids to church, because you feel bad about it and you don't want to push it on them. Like, come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah. And, you know, these other religions, they want to come here and the left wants to tell us that these people, you know, are part of the alliance. They have like the allies, people of color, LGBT community and all that. If we had Sharia law in the United States, there wouldn't be an LGBT community. Those people hate people like that. They're, you know,
yeah,
it's illegal. Yeah. So right now they're going to try and trick you and tell you that, you know, you have to stand up for these people, blah, blah, blah. They're your allies. And then once they come in, it's over for the alliance or whatever you think that the illusion that you're going to achieve.
Yeah.
What's going on.
And I just went off of what you said. And it seems to be the same group of people. It's the pro-LGBTQ community, where in the United States you have the freedom to marry whoever you want and believe whatever you want. You have the freedom to assemble, do whatever you want. But I dare someone of the LGBTQ community to take a step in Gaza, take a step in Baghdad, and tell them that you have your beliefs, and you'll see that, you know, the First Amendment is truly a gift, and that since you were born in America, you have that gift and you have that right. You were born in America, you have the rights, and that's why we're so privileged. And you hear about white privilege all the time. I want to hear about American privilege. We have American privilege that we were born in America as well. Our American privilege is that we have the rights to bear arms. We have the rights to assemble. We have the right to land. We have all of our rights, and you want to read the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the amendments that we have now, the 3 articles, you know, like we are so privileged as American citizens because we have the right to think this way. We have the right to be crazy, like the left, the far left, and the far right, the woke left and the right extremists. We have the right to do so. That's American privilege. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown, and whatever. Like, it doesn't matter where you are when it comes to your gender or your race. You have American privilege, and that's a fact. American privilege. You see people go to Jamaica and say, it's my First Amendment right, and then they get clocked. I don't know if you've seen that clip. She gets punched in the face because she's recording, and he says, this is private property, don't record. I have the First Amendment right. Boom. Like it's so privileged. It's so privileged because we have this right, and you don't see how it is in second or even third world countries.
We're kind of jumping around here, and I think it's good because basically I think to sum up the topic that we're talking about, talking about the U.S. allowing foreign influence to come in and try and change our ideals and our values. And it really is a problem, whether it's the Somalis, whether it's Zoran Mandami, whether it's the Muslims, whether it's all the immigrants that Biden let in over the past 5 years, and it's really created a situation in this country where now, like, things like the Communist Party for America and things like that are starting to almost get a foothold, and the media is not. Like you said in your one YouTube short that we cut out, it was part of episode 2, maybe, I think, that there's good propaganda and bad propaganda, and the media in this country is not propagandizing people to do the things that the founding fathers believed in and preserve our constitutional republic. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. These things are years of the Renaissance, the French Revolution, our Declaration of Independence. These are years of oppression that people, even going back to the what's it called? I forget it's like what all of common law is based off of. But even going back to like common law, I forget the name of it. But these things are super important for the reason why America is the way it is. So go ahead, play your clip.
All right, here's the clip of me talking about the GOP masters of propaganda.
Fell for this propaganda just like a lot of people did, and now people are waking up to it when specifically he said no new wars. The GOP is masterful at propaganda. You think propaganda is a negative, you think propaganda is only like, for fascists like Nazi Germany and like World War II propaganda and all this stuff. No, propaganda could be good, bad. Propaganda is everywhere. News is propaganda. I thought,
and just like you mentioned in this clip, propaganda is everywhere. We are being fed left-wing propaganda, saying that we need to let in everyone, that we need no borders, all this stuff. Well, no borders, that concept of no borders and almost a one world government is in the Bible. When we have no borders and we are under a one world government, that's the end of the world. Like, obviously there's war. With war, you need borders, because without borders, like, there's corruption. It doesn't even make sense. Like when you think about it, it doesn't make sense at all.
So, we've allowed this influence to happen, and we've allowed it to slowly creep in. Now Trump is starting to bring things back into control, but we in New York City, one of America's largest cities, have just allowed Zoran Mandami to come in and try and bring in a new set of ideal system. And like you talked about, American privilege and us having the right to own property and all these things, this lady in this clip I'm about to play is Zoran Mandami's appointed property chief over New York City. And listen to what she has to say about private property. Pretty soon, private property will be a thing of the past, which for people our age, it's already very hard to buy a home because of BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and stuff. But this lady here is going to make it impossible for New York City. And she calls it white supremacy. But if you notice, she says that, you know, it's white supremacist owned property, but she says, you know, we're going to take properties away from people, and that might include people of color. So it's not about white supremacy. That's another Democrat trick and another lie, is that they're trying to save you from white supremacy, and then they're gonna implement the policy and take homes away from black people, Mexicans, Spanish. That what it is the government's just taking control of private property in New York City, and that's directly antithetical to American values. And I'll play the clip. You could judge it for yourself what you think.
Oh, here, restart it. No audio. I got it. I just fixed it.
You did?
Yep, that was my bad. I muted it earlier when I was talking.
Families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
Listen to this one. This is a Zorhan,
Okay, so this lady, what our relationship to property right now is that we could buy properties and own them. That's our relationship to property. She wants to change your relationship to property where you can't own property anymore. Here, let's see if this clip is any better.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, you can't own your home anymore, especially if you're a white family or other families. You can't own your home anymore. She said it herself. And by the way, not to bash this lady, but what is she wearing? I mean, you're getting interviewed on live television. What are you wearing? You look at us, every show we dress to the occasion because we are talking about something important. You need to make sure that you look like you know what you're talking about. What are you wearing? Like, and what's your experience as well under real estate? There's so many questions I have for this lady.
She looks like a complete lunatic. She said that mostly white families, but also POCs, that means people of color. So she's trying to say that it's white supremacist to own property. And there's other clips of her elaborating more into it. She's trying to say that it's white supremacist to own property, but she's going to take property away from black people also, you know, Spanish, whatever, Hispanic, anyone. You won't be able to own property. So we have a problem here. We have communists trying to influence the United States. We have Muslims trying to influence Sharia law into the United States. We have Tim Walz, who is trying to fight the federal government with the Minnesota National Guard. We have Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar married her brother and lied to get into this country. So she basically, if laws were actually enforced, she wouldn't even be able to be a U.S. citizen. It's totally ridiculous. And, you know, we as a country have these founding principles because pre-1776, we were under colonial tyranny. The United States tried to create their own currencies and get rid of taxes. All that we really wanted was people to be in Parliament from the colonies in the British Parliament, so that we had some representation in the United States with the people that were ruling over us.
Yep.
In England. But England wouldn't give it to us, so we fought a revolution so that we could make our own representative government. And now these people want to come in and take those things away from us. That's a direct threat to the existence of the United States that we can't stand for.
Yeah, and also a threat to democracy that no one is even talking about. You want to talk about us being imperialist and colonialist, right? Now you got to think about it. We were colonies. We were one of the first colonies to ever break away. You look at that flag, the 13 stars, the 13 original colonies. Dude, it's ridiculous. We are the free world, and we are letting these people in, and it's a policy issue. It's not an issue with the people. It's not an issue with your gender, your race. It's not an issue with your religion. It's an issue with the people in charge, the people in power, and it all comes back to special interest groups and PACs that they're not fighting for us. They're not instilling laws for us. It's these oligarchs, and there's so many different oligarchs, so I'm not going to generalize, but it's these oligarchs and these faceless people that are giving these politicians the money, and then they have to listen to them. They have to follow them, because if not, you're dead. You took our money. If you don't listen to us, well, we have this special group and this intelligence agency, and we have this, and if you don't listen to us, then it's over. Well, dude, come on. We're forgetting where we came from. You can't forget where we came from. When you look at that flag, you look at the 13 stars, you see what's happening. I mean, the United States is the free world. If you want to come from any country in the world and you want to assimilate as an American citizen, and you want to come and be an American citizen and live the American dream, well, it's impossible to live the American dream nowadays, because the Americans can't even live the American dream. How are you supposed to come and live the American dream? As Ben Shapiro says, it's too expensive to live in the United States, then maybe you shouldn't live here. The Americans can't even live the American dream. We need to go back to where the Americans live the American dream, and then we can start taking immigrants again. Until then, immigrants and immigration needs to be on hold. We need to stop immigration entirely. I'm not anti-immigration. I say this all the time. I'm not anti-immigration, but I'm anti-immigration at this moment in this particular scenario. If you want to come and assimilate, if you are a Catholic in Mexico and your family is getting threatened by the cartel, and you want to have the American dream and live and work hard and become an American citizen, you have every right to come and be a first-generation immigrant and have your kids here and let them assimilate and be an American citizen, and you have every right to do so. But you know what's ruining it for you? These third world countries and these people in power that are taking all of our rights away from us, and they're just doing these ridiculous policies that you think that you don't even realize, because no one wants to realize, because if you realize and you realize what's going on, then you have to start thinking about it. And if you think about it, then it's a problem, because you don't want it to be in your head. You want to think about the NFL. You want to think about beauty pageants. You want to think about all this stuff, all these celebrities, all these TV shows and stuff that they're having, and they're having us be aware of all this stuff. Don't look at the politics. That's boring. Don't be political. You have to be political in this climate. If you're not political in this climate, then you're just going to be taken advantage of. Oh, well, the election's in 2 weeks. I should probably watch the debate and see who says what and who's fake and who's real. Or, oh, I'm already a Democrat, so I'm going to vote Democrat every time. Or, oh, well, the Democrats are crazy, so that we have to vote conservative every single time, because we can't let Gavin Newsom get in office. We need J.D. Vance to get in office. Well, no, you need to wake up, and we need to unite as American people. Without America, the world is cooked. Without America, the world is going to end. America is the free world. We are the police state. America is where people come to have a better life. But now they're coming and they're making American lives worse. Now, I'm not anti-immigration. I will continue to say this. I'm not anti-immigration. I love the immigrants that want to come and be American citizens and make our country better and greater than it ever has been. It's make America great again. If you want to come and make America greater than it already has been, and you want to provide for American citizens and yourself and make your family have a better life in the future, I'm all for it. I'm all for that. But where we've come from, where we're taking 40 million immigrants in 5 years, is not okay. You look at our population, 350 million people in the United States. If you take in another 40 million, I mean, the country already from the last 30 years is unrecognizable. Look at Chicago, look at New York City, look at LA. I mean, crime-infested cities, homeless through the roof. The homeless population is ridiculous. The drug abuse, the fentanyl, everything that I'm saying right now, you need to listen to me. Please listen to me. Look at what we've had in the last 30 years and if you even want to go back to 1948 from the creation of Israel, if you want to go back to 1910 when Henry Ford was around, look at what we've created by our own politicians. We are screwing ourselves, and they're selling out the American people.
This quote here is Ronald Reagan, and it says, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." It's up to us right now as Americans to stand up, stand for our Christian beliefs, our Christian values. See, God gave us free will to choose to do whatever we want. You could either choose to be a godly person, or choose to be a Muslim, or choose to be a drag queen or whatever. God gave us free will to have relationship with him. God also gave us our rights, your rights to free speech, the Second Amendment. These things are God-given rights. And we need to have, I have here, I have these little pocket constitutions. This is actually specifically for jury duty, kind of. But everyone should have a pocket constitution and know your rights, and take part in this society that we created and exercise those rights to promote freedom and the continuation of freedom. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction, and we're seeing that right now. Freedom is like the polar bears or whatever. They say in 20 years your kids won't see a polar bear or whatever. Well, in 20 years your kids might be wearing a beekeeper suit where all they could see is through a little slit, an eye hole, because Sharia law is imposed in the United States. How about that? That's a pretty scary thought. So right now is the time to take a stand and stand back up for American ideals and American beliefs, and utilize your free will that this country gave you to promote the continuation of those beliefs. Otherwise, it'll be taken away by communist lunatics like that lady with the bug eyes, Zoran Madami's pick property chief, and then it'll be gone. And then it'll be completely gone, and you will have to fight another war, the likes of which we can't even imagine, especially if communists take over the levers of power with our military, and then they'll bring down the oppression on us, and there will be zero chance that we ever get it back for another 100 years or however long it takes to claw that back out of the clutches of these tyrannical lunatics. We have it right now. We have to fight to preserve it right now. And that doesn't mean a physical fight always. If it came down to it, though, I would be a part of it. But right now I'm talking about informationally. That's what we're doing on this show right now, is trying to expose the corruption, the lies, the tyranny that is right at our doorstep, and has even its foot in the door, where we can't, we have to get the foot out of the door, close it, and lock it back up, and preserve our freedoms. Otherwise, they won't be here anymore.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I think that if we continue on this path in 10 years, it's going to be unrecoverable. It will not be recoverable. The United States in the next 10 years is going through the largest shift. And this isn't just the United States. Because of what's going on, this is the world. The world will never be the same. We are on the line, and we say this all the time. We are on the line from what I view as a horrific future, or a future where you actually will want your kids to live. A future where you think that your kids will have a safe home. Your kids will have an affordable house. Your kids will be able to go to a university and learn without being under the assumption that, they're going to be under hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. We are on the line, and, we'll do our last segment. I think that this has been the best episode we've had by far.
Play this clip, Rich. This is New York City right now. The other day, because of this ICE stuff, New York City had this huge protest, and they're chanting "Death to ICE" and "Death to Kristi Noem" because of legal, constitutional law enforcement activity. The left, wants us to just give up our rights to have secure borders and regulate who comes in and who comes out. And because of that, now they want that. One life was lost, that woman in Minnesota. Now they want to chant that ICE agents should die, Kristi Noem should die. This is disgusting behavior. Is this muted?
No, it's good.
Okay. That's what they're saying.
Wow.
They think that they're oppressed.
This is disgusting.
They think that they're oppressed. That's what they're chanting. Down with the oppression. Wait till Sharia law comes in. We don't know what's going on. They're saying kill ICE.
Kill ICE.
A constitutional, lawful law enforcement agency that swore an oath to protect and serve you. You want to kill them so that you can let illegals from third world countries, communist dictatorships, Sharia law, terrorist states, narco-terrorist states. They want to kill ICE and allow these people to come in and take over and take away your freedoms and steal your property, steal what you own, and then they'll sprinkle back a little bit of universal basic incomes. You'll have a 200 square foot coffin apartment that you could barely turn around in because it's so small, and that'll be what you have. So for all these people, go move to Cuba. Go move to Cuba and tell me how great it is. Go move to Iran and be a woman and walk alone by yourself, because if you're walking alone by yourself, you will fall victim to a man, and then after the man is done with you, you'll be considered a whore, and they'll stone you in the street.
That's
go move over there.
Talked about. Yeah. They say that when they view women as farmland almost, where when they want to use them in a sexual way, when they want to use them, the women have zero right to deny the man. That's disgusting, horrific, and not Western aligned at all.
You want to bring that here?
You want that to happen? I see videos all the time. There's a Pakistani taxi driver. He says, in my home country, I'd be able to touch you and do whatever I want, and you wouldn't be able to do anything. And then the girl goes, well, that's why we have laws in America. Well, dude, that's what you're bringing into the country. Sharia law, That's what you're asking for. I mean, you look at Iran, they're saying death to their leader. And remember, we talked about it on episode 1. Death to America doesn't mean they want to kill all Americans. It's the Western aligned ideologies. It's the Islamic extremists. They're saying death to their leader. Look at what's going on right now just because of the corruption that Iran's having. And you want those people that are dealing with that to come to the United States because what? Because you don't believe in borders? Because you believe that they have good intentions? Well, yeah, if they want to assimilate, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But Christ is King, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Yep. I just one more thing, I guess, on what you said. You know, when our family, me and Richard's family, came over to this country, they were from Ireland, and you know, Northern Ireland is occupied by England, by the UK. There's a monument in this city to the Fenians Raiders, the Fenians Brotherhood. And it was a group of Irish people who went into Canada because Canada was owned by England, and they wanted to take part of Canada and militarily take over part of Canada and use it as a trading bartering chip with England so that they could get back the northern tip of Ireland. That was our family that came over here. And guess what? As much as I like the idea and all that, I actually disagree with that. That's a foreign person coming into the United States and trying to advocate for their old country's wants and needs on American soil. And that's my great-great-great-grandfather. But I don't agree with what he did. And guess what? The U.S. sent a gunship to Lake Erie to stop the wave of reinforcements from being able to get over to Canada. And it's my own family. That's my own heritage. That's my own thing. I don't think England should be in Ireland causing all these problems. And you know what? Even though I believe all that stuff, it goes directly against the American beliefs. And I don't think that was the right thing to do. And, you know, but you've got all these people coming into this country and trying to do very similar things to what happened there. And, you know, there's no U.S. gunship coming in to stop them from doing it. And we need that in this country. Maybe not a gunship or whatever, but we need the U.S. to right now intervene in this foreign influence right now.
Yep. 100%.
Christ, God is good. God bless America. We pray for the people of this country to be able to see through the lies. The Holy Spirit, we ask that you come and lead, guide, and direct these people to walk in the ways of God and to promote freedom and Christian values in this country, because there's a lot of lost souls out there, and we need people to understand that this isn't a game. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, and you see it. We always bring it up. We always clarify everything we're saying. This movement, the Americans Under God movement that we have, this organization, this YouTube channel, everything that we are doing is with love. We love America. We love the citizens of America. We love our lost brothers and sisters that are on the left. We love our people on the right. We love everyone in this country. We appreciate and would love to have immigrants that would want to assimilate and do it the right way. And it's a problem that the people that aren't doing it the right way is ruining it for the opportunity that people have. It's a problem. But my name is Richard Donahghue. I'm here with William Donahghue. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We really, really, really appreciate everything you do for us. I mean, even just a like will mean the world to us. Thank you for listening, watching, and viewing our stream today. And if you learned something or you thought that you disagreed with something, please let us know in the comments. Yeah. So here we are. We are at a crossroads, but Christ is King. Remember that always. Love America, and we'll see you in the next episode.